The Salem Witch Trials, Fear on Trial. In the winter of 1692, a small Puritan village in colonial Massachusetts became the site of one of history's most infamous moral collapses. 19 people were executed. One man was pressed to death. Hundreds were accused. No physical evidence was ever required. No confession was ever safe. The question is not whether witches existed in Salem. The question is how fear was allowed to become law. Salem Village, Massachusetts Bay Colony, late 17th century. This was a deeply religious society. A Puritan community shaped by strict moral codes, constant fear of sin, and an unwavering belief that the devil actively worked within the world. Life was harsh. Disease was common. Crop failure meant starvation. Native conflicts and political instability surrounded the colony. Salem itself was divided between wealthy landowners and struggling farmers, between Salem town and Salem village, between families competing for power, land, and influence. In this environment, fear was not unusual. It was expected, and fear needed explanations. In January of 1692, two young girls in the household of Reverend Samuel Parris began to exhibit strange behavior. Betty Parris, age 9, Abigail Williams, age 11. They screamed. They convulsed. They claimed invisible forces tormented them. Local physicians found no physical cause. When medicine failed, the answer turned to theology. The conclusion was simple and devastating. Witchcraft. Under pressure from ministers and magistrates, the girls were asked a dangerous question: who was responsible? Soon, names emerged: Tituba, Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne. These were not powerful people. They were vulnerable. Tituba was interrogated harshly. Under threat of violence, she confessed. Her confession described visions, animals, and meetings with the devil. This confession did not calm Salem. It ignited it. By spring, accusations spread rapidly. Neighbors accused neighbors. Children accused adults. Servants accused masters. The colonial government established a special court, the Court of Oyer and Terminer. Its rules were extraordinary. Spectral evidence was allowed. This meant that an accuser could claim the spirit of the accused appeared to them in a vision or dream. No physical proof was required. If the afflicted screamed in the courtroom, it was taken as confirmation. If the accused denied the charges, it was seen as evidence of guilt. If they confessed, they were spared execution but imprisoned indefinitely. Truth no longer mattered. Survival did. Between June and September of 1692, the executions began. Bridget Bishop was the first. She was hanged on June 10th. Others followed. Rebecca Nurse, a respected elderly woman, known for her piety. George Burroughs, a former minister. During his execution, Burroughs recited the Lord's Prayer flawlessly, something witches were believed incapable of doing. The crowd hesitated, but the execution continued. On September 19th, Giles Corey was brought before the court. He refused to plead guilty or innocent. Under English law, this meant he could not be tried. The court responded with pressing. Heavy stones were placed upon his chest. More weight was added slowly. His reported final words were simple: more weight. He died 2 days later. By the end of the trials, over 200 people were accused. Families were torn apart. Property was seized. Children testified against parents. The accused were not outsiders alone. They were farmers, mothers, ministers, and merchants. Fear rewrote relationships. Silence became suspicion. Kindness became disguise. People learned that restraint could be fatal. That accusation was protection. Salem did not descend into madness. It functioned exactly as fear-driven systems often do: efficiently. For centuries, the Salem witch trials were explained as superstition. But modern scholarship reveals deeper causes. Political instability after the revocation of the Massachusetts Charter. Economic competition between families. Personal vendettas disguised as moral concern. Even ergot poisoning, a hallucinogenic mold found in rye, has been suggested as a contributing factor. Yet none of these explanations alone caused Salem. What caused Salem was a legal system willing to abandon evidence and a society willing to trade reason for certainty. The trials ended abruptly in October 1692, when Governor William Phips dissolved the court and barred spectral evidence. By then, the damage was irreversible. In the years that followed, some judges expressed regret. In 1702, the trials were declared unlawful. In 1711, some families received financial compensation. Apologies were issued. Reputations were restored. But the dead remained dead. The lesson arrived too late for them. The Salem witch trials were not a story of monsters hiding in the woods. They were a story of ordinary people operating within a system that rewarded fear and punished doubt. History often asks how such events were possible. The better question is how easily they can happen again when fear is allowed to stand in for proof. Some trials never truly end. Today, Salem stands as a reminder and a lesson. Annually, the community gathers, not just to remember the past, but to affirm resilience and justice. Education has become the cornerstone of Salem's rebirth, with schools focusing on critical thinking and empathy. Once a symbol of division, Salem is now a beacon of unity, showing how understanding can overcome even the deepest fears. In reflection, Salem teaches us that the future is shaped by our power to change. Please subscribe and follow us for more historical events.